and gentlemen, boys and girls, general ages, happy New Year from Brandon's World. Now, this is not going to be a long live stream tonight, but I think I'm on here for a second tonight and really, just go over with you guys how amazing of a year it's been in 2022. Obviously, one of the biggest years in the history of Brand's World. As you can tell, I do have my voice back after unfortunately coughing for 6 straight weeks, but I just wanted to come on here tonight. Again, we usually do a huge New Year's Eve live stream. That's not going to be the case this year. I'm probably going to only be on here for about 5 or 10 minutes, but I did want to share with you guys, and just be thankful because 2022 was the biggest year in the history of our podcast. We were able to do a podcast at least once a month for every month this year. That, of course, being January through December. First time we have ever done that. And obviously, there were so many things amazing that happened in sports this year. Obviously, the NFL, the season that feels like it never stopped. In January, covering the postseason. February, the Super Bowl. March, free agency. April, the draft. May, the schedule release. June, OTAs. July, training camp. August, preseason. And September to December, which which has been, arguably one of the craziest NFL seasons that we can remember in a long time. Obviously right now, here we are. I'm watching Ohio State defeat Georgia 35-24 currently in the national championship semifinal. You had Michigan and TCU, which was an absolute barn burner of a game this year. A lot of stuff this year we covered, in college football, March Madness, college basketball. There's a lot of parity in sports right now. The NBA is as good as it's ever been. We're going to start diving into that in 2023, like we did in 2022. We started doing our Sunday shows, and then obviously anything baseball related. Cleveland Guardians had a great year this offseason. We will see when they bounce back in 2023. But as you know, in 2022, I had switched jobs twice. I started a freelancing job in April. That, outside of covering the most stupendous WrestleMania in history, was our only coverage really in April. And we know, obviously, how big of a year it was this past year in WWE. The resignation of Vince McMahon, everything going on with WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Clash of the Castle, Roman Reigns' championship reign, Cody Rhodes returning to WWE, all the superstars coming back, Sasha Banks and Naomi walking out, the Vince McMahon resignation, the CM Punk and All Elite drama over there in AEW, the Stone Cold Steve Austin return to WrestleMania, obviously Johnny Knoxville having a match, Pat McAfee having multiple matches, Logan Paul. I mean, there was a plethora of absolute studs going on this year in the wrestling business, and I'm excited to see what 2023 holds. Now, for us in 2023, what I'm planning on doing in January is getting back to our regular, Week 17 NFL recap, Week 18 NFL recap, postseason NFL recap, and I really do believe that sports betting is going to be a huge part of this country in 2023, specifically in my state of Ohio, where it is becoming legal in approximately 1 hour and 14 minutes from now. And so we are going to really implement that. I'm going to try to do more of this video stuff. Obviously, with me working as much as I do, you guys know that I work for Boy One Media as the general manager, as the head of content creation. You guys know I work for Mass Transit Magazine as an associate editor. So I don't have a ton of time, which is why I'm looking into hiring a social media manager for this platform, Brandon's World. I want to start doing more video, more Twitter interactions, Facebook, Instagram, which I used to do back in the day at my radio show, TikTok even, any platform that we can get our hands on. That's one of the things that I do want to dive into here as Georgia's about to kick a field goal here. Let's see if they can make this here to make it an 8-point ball game. The kick is up, and it is no good. Wide right, so Ohio State does maintain their 11-point lead. But again, that is one of the things that I would like to do. Get a social media manager in here, somebody that, I will pay personally, somebody that can handle the Twitter account, somebody that can get us doing more Facebook, more Instagram, more TikTok to really grow this brand. One of the things that I have done consistently now in 2022 is, whether I've been a podcaster now, which Brandon's World, obviously we turned into a podcast from about September 2021 into now, for being at Buck Show Radio on the radio airwaves for 3 seasons. One of the things is, not only am I doing this podcast, but I'm doing the All Things Cleveland Cavaliers podcast. And so because of that, I really feel like that I have written a lot and I want to write more, obviously, about sports. And I talked about this in my Medium page that I share, which you can obviously follow me on Twitter at BrandonLewis_7, where I talked about my 2022 journey. A lot of things I mentioned happened in 2022. A lot of the foundation, if you will, was built. And I'm looking forward to a tremendous 2023 that is built with growth from this brand. We're going to bring on my good friend Michael Reiner for around the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania season. That's in the cards for January. My All Things Cowboys co-host Joey Schneider, my best friend in the world Andrew Backa, my good friend Jalen Sandvik, Christian Itten. These are people that usually come on about once a year. They're going to be on in February, right around the Super Bowl. In March, I'm going to bring on Josh Unger, who I was just on today on a live stream, Unger to the Max from Cleveland Media. My good buddy from Buck Show Radio, Sean Fitzgerald, as we talk Cleveland Guardians as they get set for their season. Early April, we'll obviously start covering the most stupendous WrestleMania of all time. That is obviously right after March Madness, as WrestleMania goes Hollywood. So there's a lot of things going on. I know last year, Brandon's World, we kind of took a break at the end of the Super Bowl. That's not going to be the case this year. We are going to dive right into NBA topics. There's not going to necessarily be a season break until August, until the Super Bowl, because I don't really want to spend a lot of time talking NFL preseason. So therefore, season 7 is going to be extended. And I think by doing this, I think that there's a capability that we can do, still the Tuesday, Thursday, occasional Friday guest interview shows, as long as I'm taking care of my voice, as long as I'm resting and doing all of these things. I think it's really a possibility that we can go from now until, really April, until after WrestleMania. And then after that, we will transition potentially back to those Sunday shows where we can go macro with some NBA stuff, with more MLB stuff. You guys know I'm more of a casual MLB fan than a hardcore MLB fan. I'm more of a casual NBA fan than a hardcore NBA fan. But I do follow the NBA a little bit more than I do MLB. You guys know my attention ever since COVID has been taken away a little bit of sports outside of the National Football League, as I've looked to find other interests. But as I mentioned at the top of this show, I would love to do some sort of video with great graphics, where we do, these are Brandon's best bets of the week, and we can continue that, even after the NFL season. But I'm already looking forward to, obviously, my Philadelphia Eagles have had a great season so far, but I'm already looking forward to the coverage that Brandon's World does specifically for the NFL season in 2023, because it will be my first full NFL season where we will bet. Obviously, my best bets has been a thing for the last couple of years, but I am really looking forward to that being a thing. I'm also looking forward to, talking about betting when it comes to wrestling. I am going to place one of my first bets when it comes to the Royal Rumble this year. I think it's going to make it a lot more fun. I hopefully hope that it will get more people to tune into Peacock. Obviously in January, like I said, we'll cover all of the NFL firings. We will cover the national championship. I cannot believe that TCU and Ohio State, it looks like now, are going to be playing in the national championship. I thought it was going to be Georgia, Michigan. That was not the case. I did not think TCU belonged in the Final Four. If you listen to my Christmas special, I made a case for Alabama, like I know a lot of people did across the country, and that was not necessarily the case. So, as always, this is why you play the games. I think Ohio State has a lot of talent. I think they're motivated, and that's why they're currently winning this football game. But, man, a lot of things happened in 2022. As I said, last year we did not get a chance to do this I was unfortunately in bed last year. I was in bed at this time. I was not a part of the new year last year due to contracting a very bad case of COVID-19. And then over, Thanksgiving, I contracted a terrible, I think it was a combination of COVID, the flu, sinus infection, ear infection. I mean, I was battling multiple illnesses at once. I could barely talk. And so that's one of the things that, I'm going to try to keep myself as healthy as possible this year. If I am not healthy enough to record, I will look to, one of Joey Schneider, my All Things Cavs host, Sean Fitzgerald, Josh Unger, people that you have heard on this podcast multiple times that I feel like I have the best chemistry with that will be able to fill in for me. If by chance Brandon has to miss 1 or 2 episodes of Brandon's World, and obviously I will compensate them for that. I think, I made this very clear that going into 2023, I really believe this could be the year Brandon's World grows. I want this to be my full-time platform one day, whether we take this show in a studio like the Pat McAfee show on YouTube, or I'm working at an online radio station that I, own or produce or whatever the case may be. I have huge aspirations for this show. And starting with that is getting a crew together that will be with me. I feel like I have good chemistry with some people. Maybe at some point I bring on a co-host, what Colin Cowherd does on The Herd, where I'm kind of the main person, but you have your Joy Taylor, you have your Jason McIntyre doing news segments, and we can kind of turn this then into a daily podcast potentially if I feel comfortable doing that, or even a weekly podcast where we go a set limit, with commercials, where we can do it live on YouTube and grow our video audience. I think that's something I'm certainly looking into, especially when we get obviously past the NFL season and we get to some of the smaller stories. Obviously with the NBA and the MLB and wrestling, we sort of encompasses that. Is maybe doing a live show, bring on a co-host to do that with, and we kind of have a news dynamic going on, or we have a Skip and Shannon Undisputed, if you will, dynamic going on, even though it's still under the Brandon's World brand. So I have a lot of ideas. I have guests already planned out. As I said, some guests like my good buddy Jalen Sandvik, Christian Eden, they've come out once or twice a year. Other guests you guys know, Enzo Orlando, obviously, Sean Fitzgerald, Andrew Bacca, Joey Schneider, Josh Unger. They have been on multiple times, and I'm looking forward to it. I'll probably bring on Mel Kirby. She's probably from Believe on Media, host of the Guardians of the CLE podcast alongside James Alfred. She's probably the smartest Guardians fans I know. She's a diehard Guardians fan. Probably bring her on, obviously, as I mentioned, too, closer to the Guardian season. But I want to thank you all. Brandon's World was a success in 2022. I really feel motivated to do this kind of stuff. I love sitting in front of a microphone. I've said this, for a long time. COVID has changed me. I do miss a studio. I will say that. I do miss, having a microphone, having a studio, being in place to be able to talk and sound good and being able to record on a weekly basis with that music going in the background and sharing phone calls and all of that. But I do enjoy also, it was an adjustment for me to be sitting at home. And again, I don't have the proper equipment and all that, if you will. I don't have a proper studio space to record, which is why I do use these virtual backgrounds. But it is, and by the way, I'm in my basement right now, which is why I'm wearing my Philadelphia Eagles jacket. I'm dressed up in pajamas, obviously, because it's the new year. But it is, an adjustment for me, I guess you could say, going from a radio station to sitting at home, in a basement, a webcam. That was a big adjustment for me. Going into last year, I really didn't know how to transition this show. And now I'm motivated, man. I've got everything planned out. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to make 2023 the year of Brandon Lewis. Usually odd years are not the best years for me. Usually even years are better for me. But, this year was pretty good. Obviously, 2020 was bad for everybody. It's unfortunate. Some of you probably know, I used to do YouTube for a long time. Me and a couple buddies from high school of mine who I no longer am in contact with at all. Pretty sad about, because I used to spend, the majority of my childhood with these people. We used to do one of these New Year's live streams every year. We'd come on at 11:30. We'd go till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Just talking about life, talking about BS. It was one of my favorite streams of the year. the Brandon Lewis famous live stream, and I've tried to kind of take this over, to this platform, to Brandon's World, which is coming up on its 5-year anniversary in September of 2023. However, it's been hard, the COVID year. Last year I had COVID. 2019 was kind of the first year we did it, and not a lot of people were available. And people grow up; they don't want to sit here and be on a live stream New Year's Eve night, and I completely understand that. But it's something I always hold to my art. So even if we go, 20 minutes on a stream tonight, that means the world to me. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at BrandonLewis_7. Look for more writings, whether it's Believe in Media, my Substack, which is always in the description, my Medium, which is always in the description. I'm going to do more long-term stuff. Listen, I really feel like that 2023 could be potentially the year where I don't want to say work 365 because obviously there's NFL games and there's games on. But, specifically when football season ends, that Sunday there's another opportunity to write, to get better, to get my thoughts, to record, to give it best bets. And so that is my thinking when it comes to this. Again, really expanding the brand, getting a social media manager, getting new ideas, and getting a team. And let's make Brandon's World 2023 a huge year. Cannot wait to cover Week 17 in the NFL next week. Cannot wait to cover the Royal Rumble later in January. And by the way, WrestleMania and SummerSlam and all the events in the NFL and March Madness and the NBA playoffs and the Major League Baseball kickoff start of the season. And have guests and have fun and really grow this podcast and this platform. And again, do more video. I don't know how we're going to do it right out of the gate because, again, I don't really have the time. I know how to do video and I know how to edit video. I'm still, trying to figure out what would be the best medium platform to be able to dive into and, give you guys really an opportunity that would make it more entertaining instead of me just sitting here talking into a microphone about, my 5 best bets, for example, for the NFL season. Maybe we do some segments. I know we've done buy, sell, or hold in the past. We've done QB minute to win it, which is one of my favorite things to do in free agency, where I have a minute to tell you which quarterback will go where in free agency. That's always one of the best things that I've come up with that we do every year. We'll do some more games. I mentioned we'll play buy, sell, or hold. We will do all those things coming up in the new year and make them even bigger, better than ever. So Brandon's World is coming. 2023 is the year of Brandon's World. It is the year of Believe in Media. Make sure to check out BelieveInMediaLLC.com. We're going to have articles, podcasts, everywhere. It's going to be a hell of a year. 2023 is my year to make content. It's my year to get into this business. As the great Colin Cowherd says, grind daily, celebrate briefly. I will see you all in 2023, January 3rd, with my Week 17 NFL recap, and then Week 18, first time in forever, I feel like, since I've overcome this illness, recording my NFL Week 18 best bets. I've slid off at the end of the year. Betting will be legal in Ohio in 1 hour. I think it's going to be great for the economy. I already mentioned that. But 2023, well, again, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great year. I hope you guys have a great evening. And peace.